Hey, Eric, I'm really happy to be back. Following up on our last conversation we had, I think it's a perfect segue to talk about Saturday Morning Coffee, the film you and I did together.
Right, yeah. Absolutely.
So I'll just set the table a little bit for folks that maybe don't know the background. But we talked last time about how we met a year or so ago on set. You were an actor on a film that I was helping a friend, Zeph Code, on in terms of on set. And you and I hit it off a bit there, but we went our separate ways, as often happens.
Right.
And I started to see what you were doing, that one film a week thing. And I said, you know, I'm stuck. I'm not making enough stuff. Let me call Eric up and see what the heck he's doing with this thing.
Right.
So we chatted that day. We talked for about a half an hour. It rolled into an hour. And I told you about a contest that was coming up in Connecticut, a horror film contest that I'd always wanted to enter a film in. But every year it comes, and every year I just pass. And I said, well, we're kind of at the end. You know, most of the filmmakers had 2 to 3 months to make the film for the contest.
Yeah.
We've got like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm in. Of course you're in. Yeah. You're making one film a week. 3.5 weeks is incredibly luxurious.
Right, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
So we said, what are we going to make? You had a lot in the drawer.
Yeah.
And my son and I had something in our head.
Right.
We loved one of your films.
Yeah.
The scripts that you shared with us, and you know, this thing about the truth tree, but we'll talk about that another time. And Tommy, my son, and I, we ran off and took that little 1 or 2 page script and we started building it out because we needed a 6 or 7 minute film. And we came back to you and showed, look what we did with your beautiful story, let's do it. And you loved it and said, but let's change this and this. And then we realized we weren't going to get this thing done in 3 weeks. This truth tree idea wasn't going to fly. So I pitched to you this idea we had that we had never really documented, and you said, perfect, let's do it. And off and running. Talk a little bit about what happened from there and
well, there's one part of the story I didn't tell you, and I'll probably tell you now for the first time. One of the reasons why I like Saturday Morning Coffee is because you and your son wrote it. And I don't know, I've mentioned this, but you know, my father passed away 2 years ago, and I was very close with him, and I liked that. So I was like, that means something to me, and I like that whole thing, and I want to honor that. So I thought that was cool. So that was number one. Number two, Saturday Morning Coffee worked logistically because it all took place in one location.
Correct.
And now we had a concept. The idea was you're going to have this guy, a home invasion. The way I've been pitching is a home invasion taking place while man's just trying to enjoy his Saturday morning coffee. Right.
Yep.
Now you hear that, and it can go a lot of ways. We had it with a twist. Now, at first, we didn't have the twist. At first, it was just your classic horror movie, a little bit of a battle, something happens.
Because how can we pull off a twist in 3 weeks, let alone a whole film?
Right.
And let's keep it vanilla, straight line, and just bring it to the end. And you said, no, we can do better than that.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned from, one of the reasons that I say that I am a halfway decent writer is especially in short form, is I'm really good at the unexpected ending or the twist ending sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes you fall on your face, but it's a risk you take. And I knew, I had another short story that you read called Girl in the Closet.
Yep.
And I said, you see the mechanics of how this twist works.
Right.
And I said, let's implement that with Saturday Morning Coffee. And then everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
Maybe there was 1 or 2 things we had a massage and I wasn't happy with, and then I was complaining about, but we worked it out. But once we understood what needed to happen, because a twist, I don't want to give out too many secrets, but the way a twist works is you give the answer in the beginning. What is the reality of the situation? And then the rest of the movie, if you're doing your job correctly, makes you forget that you had the answer already.
Yep.
And you can follow this. I don't want to deep dive into it, but you can follow this in all the great twist movies.
No question about it. If you think about Sixth Sense, we all ran back and watched it again. You didn't have to, actually, because at the end, they played all of those pieces for you.
And that's why a lot of twist movies do that. Because they were like, remember all the times we told you what was happening?
Correct.
You missed that, you know?
And I think in the old days of film, where you saw a film in a theater and you didn't even have video rental places, films had to do that more because many people didn't see films 2 or 3 or 4 times. Today, we watch stuff on Netflix, you can rewind, you can check it. Oh, I should have caught that, I caught that.
I didn't even think of that.
But back to the twist thing, when Tom and I wrote that, we were always thinking about angles and twists and things, how to make this thing flip on its head. And I just don't think we had the confidence that in this short of a film, 4 minutes and change runtime, in this short of a time, we could pull it off. And you brought that confidence to the table, and you're like, this will work.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that a confidence that I built over time. Where I've worked with comic book artists, I've worked with DPs, I've worked with actors, I helped a lot of people with their stories throughout the years. And there's absolutely no reason why, there's no limitation that you can't squeeze a great story out of. But it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes sitting, like most things in life, sitting through the frustration of it all.
Yeah.
But having the confidence knowing that if I sit through this frustration, I'll find it. And I kind of did sense that with you guys. I was like, trust me, it'll be fine. Just like, we need to argue.
Sure.
We need to argue. We need to be unhappy. We need to go to bed. We need to wake up with a new idea, to call the idea, think it's the right idea, go to bed again, realize it's the wrong idea. We need to go through that. And honestly, everything I've ever written, the only confidence I have is a matter of time. I may nail it.
Yeah.
It's not even that like I will nail it. So with a matter of time, we may get there.
Yeah.
But that's better than like we can't do it.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
Well, for me, that all makes perfect sense now. For me, this process was insane. I love stress. I love pressure. I love being under the gun. But this was a little bit crazy because Tommy and I wrote the script in a matter of 2 or 3 days. You got a hold of the script. We went through iterations of it. You put your touches on it.
Another 2 or 3 days after that,
yep.
right? Yeah,
It was. So, 4 or 5 days in, we've got the script. We have 1 day on the entire calendar that we could all get together and shoot this thing. Jeffrey Duncanson, God bless the guy, a friend of mine who has worked with me on lots of stuff, said, I'm in. He showed up with everything from lighting to his camera to all these ideas. Sound, he did the sound, he did it all. One-man band in many respects. We all get together that one day. We get 1 day to shoot, plus we've got a 1-year-old on set. And we were running so late that day on everything. We waited. The 1-year-old wakes up from his nap. This is my grandson, by the way. He wakes up from his nap. Let's go. We got to get his scenes in. But we were too deep into some heavy stuff in terms of scenes. We pushed him on, and we pushed him late. So it was really stressful. But that just kind of like lights a fire. It was like, we all stepped up. We wound up being there till like 11 p.m. By the way, my son Tommy loved the experience. So he acted with you, you directed him. We'll talk about that in a second. We used his house for the shoot. By the way, it's the last time he will have a shoot at his house. It's funny. We just joke about it because we're talking about the next film or whatever. And I'm like, hey, Tom, your garage will be this good. Because ultimately his house is out of commission for 24 hours. And he's got 2 little kids and blood is everywhere. And he's wiping blood off from behind the curtains and stuff like the next day. It's funny. So I still think he'll let us shoot at his house. But it was just funny the next day, it's not like he even had to clean up. I mean, I was in there cleaning everything up. But, he did fantastic. Using his house, using his outside, the whole thing is what allowed us to do it. But let's talk about your role in this film. When we first chatted, you were going to act in it, help produce it with me. And, you contributed on the script for sure, and the story. So story credit and all that stuff. But you were thinking, hey, I'm not going to direct this, John, you direct it. And because I want to really focus on the acting, the producing part. It's the first time we're working together. I said, okay, I got it. And then chatting with you again a little later, and you changed your mind. Talk about that process.
Okay, I'll tell you. And I was going to tell you privately one day what happened.
Well, here we go.
It's
just you and I.
I know. Basically, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been helping people with things for a long time that I don't get credit for, and I'm okay with that. But I also feel like a little bit later, now that I've been doing this for a long time, there's a certain I need to be a little more selfish. If I'm going to move forward. And I've built this, in the 3 months that I did the social media, I built myself as a writer, actor, director. And to now have a real team and then suddenly remove myself as a director when I've already branded myself as that, I can be too selfless sometimes. And I pay the price for it, and I have no problem paying the price for it. But there's also sometimes me being selfish is the correct answer. Because not only for me, but the helping the people around me. Because sometimes I am the person that knows the most, and I am the person that will move the ball forward. And so sometimes when I was playing basketball, I wasn't very good, but when I was good, I was passing and playing defense a lot. And my coach used to say, "You can do more than that." And I didn't learn that. That lesson was not learned there. That lesson may have only been learned recently. I've always prided myself on being a team player, and if I became, any leadership position, I was very grateful, but it wasn't something I asked for ever. If it came naturally, fine. And I was like, it's time for me to just always position myself as that.
I love it. And it turned out to be perfect. And by the way, on that film, titles and lines were blurred all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean,
everyone
it
was doing
it was
everything.
all hands, right?
Yeah.
But I remember some times when you were setting up the big scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, the confrontation scene, and you were coaching Tommy through it, directing him and whatever. And I'm sitting on the side, kind of the stage dad at this point, and I couldn't help myself but to say, and do it a little bit more this way, this way, this way. And I could just tell, father to son kind of thing, and you just gave me a look, and just a look, and I just smiled and went and got myself a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I came back, and he nailed the scene.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite shots in the film. I just had to get out of the way, and it worked out perfect. So,
to talk about that, this is why I feel very strongly that everyone that directs or writes needs to act. Yeah. And I feel that way anytime. If you're an actor, writer, you need to direct. You need to, all that is the same soup.
Yep.
You may think it's not, but it is. And because of that, because I know you directed and I know you've written before.
Yep.
And you can sense, you can feel your presence on set, but you can also tell that you haven't acted before because it's very hard to tell someone what to do when you don't know what it's like to be under pressure to emote correctly in front of people that you don't know. Your son met me for the first time that day.
Correct.
Right? And I knew from acting, and I knew from bad experiences with directors and good experiences how to talk to an actor. Yep. I have a basic understanding.
But wait, you mean all the books I've read about how to direct actors? That's not worth anything?
Right, no. Honestly, you want to know? Show up on set.
You're absolutely right. The first short I ever made and directed, I had this fantastic director of photography. Basically, Simon helped me at every step of the way, and ultimately, I look back on that film and a lot of the great performances that came out of our actors. Simon from behind the camera is the one who barked out the suggestions, and I just absorbed and learned so much from him. Yeah,
and a lot of it is making the actor feel like they're never going to make a mistake.
Yeah,
that is always the right direction. Because I'll be honest with you. I immediately cringed when you said something to the effect of that wasn't what we're looking for.
Okay.
And I cringed. I said, never tell an actor on set that. Tell him that in rehearsal.
Right.
Tell him that in a table read. Yeah. Don't tell him on set.
And I was only being that polite because you were in the room.
Right.
Remember, he's my son.
And I said, now he thinks he can't make a mistake.
Yeah.
He's worried.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're saying that, but
I remember.
That's how I would feel.
I remember that, and then you had him do the opposite.
I made him do everything. How many times did we practice him doing the scene incorrectly?
You actually said, I want you to do this just completely unhinged and completely wrong.
Yeah,
as wrong as you can.
Yeah, as wrong as you can. To loosen up, to be okay with it. And then,
no question.
And then
okay. So we're going to get back to this in a second, but I'm going to basically stop and say, hey, Eric, then help me out here. That December film you're working on.
Yeah.
Put me in front of the camera. I don't care what I get. Put me in front of the camera. Let me see what it's like.
I will. I don't know if that's the one you want to do. I don't
Listen,
know.
This guy sounds like a Hollywood producer. Because I'm going to put you in, but I'm not sure that's good for you.
I'm telling if you read the script, you're probably not going to watch it.
Fair enough. All right, I like it. So I get script approval. But someday you'll put me in front of the lens. And it'll help me connect some dots that are missing.
It will. It will.
Love it.
You'll
love
feel
it. So let's get back to the film. Hey, initially, when we said we were going to do it, I figured we're going to do this thing on an iPhone. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good enough for this contest, and we're going to have a blast, and I'll get to know you better. Well, when we got there on set, and I saw what we were doing, and when we got back and saw the roughs, I said, this has potential to be better than that. And sure enough, it did.